Alrighty. Reload. Um, can you reload the page? There we go. Okay. Let me know how I sound. Can you hear me? Excellent. All right. I'm just going to let everybody know that we are live. We are live. Don't mind me. This. Oh, poo. I need the link. Pardon me while I notify everybody online that we are live. An hour. Jeez, it's not giving me the. Pardon the delay. Oh, I can't see chat right now. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the doohickey. There's the doohickey. Alright. Copy. Paste. Alright. Again. Apologies. Okay. And now yeah, sorry again. All right, I've got all of the notifications out. I've told people we are live. Cool. All right. Excellent. Okay. It's all working, and it seems. Yes, that is true. No one said live streaming was easy. But anyways, hello. Welcome. It took like 2.5 minutes, but we're here. Yeah, I'd like to say greetings. As some of you may notice, I sound clearer now. I got a new microphone. But yeah, I know I posted a picture on some of my social medias. I post on several places, but yeah, I'm super happy with my new microphone. It is cool looking, and it's got a pop filter. Hello, Shimmer. Yes, good morning, good evening from the morning. Yes, it is evening here. But yeah, so today's topic is about how essentially we autistics label ourselves and just sort of not only sorry talking about identity first language and person first language, as well as functioning labels. Now, I do want to start off by stating I believe autistic people, when it comes to identity first language or person first language, when it really is, whether somebody is saying that they are autistic, or they're a person with autism, or they're on the spectrum, or any variant of that, I believe it is up to the person to decide what label they wish to use. Is it still working? Okay, because it says like YouTube is not receiving. Oh, okay, I see. Anyways, Sorry, just streaming stuff. Anyways, essentially, yeah, is an autistic person should be allowed to choose how they call themselves, whether they call themselves a person with autism or an autistic person or a person on the spectrum. The issue comes in when people force labels on others. The issue comes when when somebody calls themselves a person with autism and somebody says, no, you're wrong. And the same goes for if someone says they're autistic and someone comes in and says, no, you're wrong. The issue is when labels are forced on us. And I've, heard, I've read that people prefer to be called a person with autism because where they are from, autistic is often used as an insult. And I can't argue with them. Because, well, that's their choice. I'm not going to tell someone that their choice on how they identify themselves is wrong. Because I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. So why would I do that to somebody else? And the big issue with this whole thing is when people, especially people who are not autistic, come in and tell you how you should identify yourself. Someone who's not even autistic coming in and saying, hey, how dare you identify yourself in a way that's comfortable for you? I have actually had people come into my comments and tell me that I should not use the term autistic because it might offend autistic people. That it is not PC. And it often blows my mind when that happens. I can remember 2 times that this happened. One time, person said, this isn't PC, it's not good language, you should say person with autism. And I said, well, the majority of the autistic community prefers to be called autistic. Now, again, majority, not all. Sebastian, I've been told by non-autistic people not to use autistic. I hate it when this happens. Yes, it's so annoying. Yeah, well, Fenos, how dare you feel comfortable? But this person came on saying, you can't say this. It's offensive. And I'm like, how is it offensive when the majority of the autistic community prefers it? And here's a picture. Here are some sources. Here's some polls. Here's all this information. If it's truly offensive to autistic people, then why do autistic people use it? And this person responded, well, this is how I was taught. They were somebody who worked with autistic people, which I feel bad for their clients. But I'm just like, okay, who taught you? Did autistic people teach you? Or were you taught by a neurotypical? Did those people who taught you, did they ask an autistic person? Or are they just sort of telling you without any reference from an autistic person? And we went back and forth until finally this person asked, wait, are you autistic? And I was just like, what? And I'm just like, and I was responding as my comic, as the creator of the comic strip. This person was, this person was commenting on. I'm responding. And I'm all I could think is, why would I make a comic about being autistic if I wasn't autistic. And I just told this person, yes, I'm autistic. And they're like, oh, this conversation is making a lot more sense. And I'm just like, ooh, what does that mean? And they're like, well, this is just what I was taught. And I'm like, okay, look, and education is important, but you also have to have a personal viewpoint. This is why it's important to talk to autistics about how they would like to be treated and addressed. And they never responded. So the second time it happened, it was very much the same thing. Don't say autistic, it's rude, stuff like that. And I responded, no, it's not. And we had a back and forth. And eventually when this was on Instagram, so I tried to @ her. And, or them, because I don't know their gender, I should say them. When I tried to @ them, I couldn't. And it turns out they had blocked me. And so I'm like, if you're not going to, like, argue your point, if you're just going to block me, fine. I'm going to delete your comment thread because I don't want my followers to take the time and energy to argue against someone who's not going to listen to them. I'd rather people come to my page and see my comic and go, oh man, that's so relatable, or haha, that's funny, not to have to take the mental energy to argue somebody who doesn't care about their opinion. Yeah. So that's those are the two things that I remember. Those are the two main, like, the big ones that happened. Shimmer, my friend says that they are on the spectrum, but then never mentioned it again. I think they may be ashamed, maybe it's just not important to them. It could be either. I remember until I started, really making my comic and really becoming part of the autistic community, my autism wasn't a big part of my life. It was such a non-issue, even though it caused so many things to happen in my, like, how I reacted to things. But of course, at that time, I still believed that I was bipolar. So I'm like, oh, I'm reacting this way because I'm bipolar, not because I'm autistic. And it turns out I was misdiagnosed and all of that. So when being autistic started being a bigger part of my life, that's when I actually started being way more open about it. But again, your friend may also be ashamed, because there are people who look at autism as something to be ashamed of. I don't know if you've already introduced him, but who are you streaming with? I'm sorry for my ignorance. This is my partner. Do you want to say hi?
Hello, that would be me. I'm the one in chat under the username Kaifanis.
Yes, this is my partner, spouse. Just want to make it clear that it's not simply a partner when it comes to my comic. No, they are my spouse. And they are awesome, and they're also the one who got me this awesome microphone, and yay. So
Hello.
So now, having talked about yes, well, Fenno's partner sama. Guten Tag. With person first language versus identity first language, we've talked about, like, person first language is always taught by the Savanto. I'm very glad that this is interesting to listen to. Yay. I actually have, like, notes written down. So my last stream I felt was more of, like, a rambly mess, and I kept on going over the same, like, points over and over again, but I actually have, like, notes written down to keep me more focused.
Constant improvement.
Yes. I also remembered to schedule this one, which was, oh, it's almost like I know what I'm doing. Uh, but yeah, is at university, or where doctors, where PSWs, nurses are taught, they are taught to use person first language. They're not taught, hey, ask what the person prefers. They're just told, hey, you're supposed to call them person with autism because autistic is offensive. Just flat out, no wiggle room. It's not, oh, call them what they prefer. And so you get people who are trained. Oh, Salu, you like my voice? Oh, that makes one of us. Um, I,
Hey. I like it too.
okay, that makes 2 out of 3. Um, um, but you have professionals who feel that they can speak for autistic people without asking autistic people about their opinion. If they're not willing to ask autistic people, um, Dana, maybe we should treat it more like preferred pronouns. Ask. Exactly. That's actually a really good point. Yes. Um, but you have these professionals who, if they're not willing to ask us how we prefer to be addressed, if they're not going to listen to us when we say these things, like, it makes me worry about what else they're not going to listen to us about. And of course, we have, like, the biggest, like, at least in North America, the biggest nonprofit organization that quote unquote works for autistic people is, of course, Autism Speaks, which doesn't actually listen to us. You have all these people who say they're working for us, but they don't listen to us. But kind of switching topics a little, is talking about, the stream is called Proudly Labeled. So one thing I wanted to talk about was functioning labels: high functioning autistic versus low functioning autistic. And honestly, I feel that these sorts of labels do more harm than good. Some people say things like, well, it simplifies the conversation. I feel it simplifies it way too much. And in a lot of cases, is actually incorrect. Is you have people who are labeled as high functioning autistic. And so if they need, with Asperger's, Silu, with Asperger's, is I can't, like, because Asperger's is still a diagnosis in countries that do not use the DSM-5. When there are countries that still diagnose Asperger's. And so also there are people who were diagnosed many years ago and still cling to the term Asperger's or Aspie. My dad still calls himself an Aspie. For a long time I called myself an Aspie. So if somebody calls themselves, if they say that they have Asperger's or they call themselves an Aspie, I'm not going to say they're wrong. I know there are some people who have a lot of issues with that term, but personally, I do not. I know that has a tricky and dark history to it, but so do many things. So I kind of put Asperger's and Aspie in the same boat as you call yourself whatever you feel comfortable with. I put in the same boat as people who call themselves autistic or person with Asperger's or a person on the spectrum or Asperger's or Aspie. Well, Fenos, just days ago I was in a conversation with my mother about high functioning versus low functioning, and even still, she outright said, I don't see autism, I see Asperger's. The problem with that is not everybody who has autism is diagnosed Asperger's. So what, does she just not see autistic people? Dana, I legit had an English teacher refuse to give me the things I needed because if she needs special provision, she shouldn't be on the top class. So yeah, high functioning is problematic.
I want to cut in with this one. Danae Kelly. I hate your English teacher already. I'm an English teacher. My favorite class to teach is the grade 12 English here in China because I love the study, I love the in-depth analysis, all that stuff. If someone needs help, it doesn't matter what you as an English teacher believe should be ideal for a top class. Oh my God, you should be helping them. Like, that's the entire point. If you're not helping them as a teacher, if someone needs extra help in some way, give it to them. Like, literally, that's what differentiated instruction, that's what teaching is supposed to be. Pardon me, I'm completely ranting. I just hate the concept of a teacher saying, oh, you're high functioning but have special needs? Get bent. I hate that. Sorry, rant over.
Rokishi, yeah, don't get me started on Hans Asperger. Yeah, I understand that there's, again, as I said, with the term Asperger, there's a dark history, but it is still diagnosed, and there are still people who connect to it, not because, like, there are people, I didn't even know about Hans Asperger when I was diagnosed, and I said I had Asperger's and called myself an Aspie. I didn't even know. But but even those who do know is just sort of, for me personally, I just sort of like cut him out of the picture. Because when people say they have Asperger's, they are not connecting him to their diagnosis. Well, no, she saw autism as a nonverbal thing. And so she didn't see me as autistic. That was at the time when I was 2-year-old reciting Toy Story. Yeah. Well, Fenos, yes. Greta Thunberg is better than Hans Asperger. Yes. Let's stay on track. But yeah, with functioning labels I'm going to talk about me personally. Since I was diagnosed as Asperger's, now that, as Canadian, DSM-5 got rid of Asperger's, it's now just autism, I would be most likely labeled as high-functioning autistic. But here's the thing. I dropped out of high school. I dropped out of my 3rd year of college. I don't know how to drive. I can't hold down a job. And it's like, for me, with holding the whole, shoot, sorry. Oh my gosh, just gone. The whole high functioning thing is, the whole holding down a job thing, I can't, because I can't leave my home for too long. And talking to other people stressed me out. So even if I had a job at home where I talked on the phone with people, that would stress me out. I remember having a job with a great boss, and I was paid above minimum wage, and no one bothered me. And I lasted 2 months before I had to quit because I was breaking down. But yeah, but the problem is, like, I would be labeled as high-functioning autistic, even though all of this stuff is going on. It's, just incorrect. For certain things, I am high-functioning. For other things, I am low-functioning. For other things, I guess I'm medium-functioning. For other things, I'm Cool Ranch functioning. Other things, I'm honey garlic functioning. Okay, I'm sorry. But it's just like, for people who are labeled as high functioning, they don't get the help they need. Because people will be like, oh, you're high functioning? That basically means you're not autistic, right? And so you get high functioning autistic people who burn out because they're not getting the help they need because no one will give it to them. Um, and it's then you have like the flip side where you have low functioning. When someone is labeled as low functioning, there are parents who, when their child gets diagnosed as autistic, not even low functioning, just autistic, and they'll automatically be like, great, my child will never get a job, they'll never move out, they'll never get married, I'll never have grandchildren, and this kid is like 4. And it's like this parent has already decided that their child is going to be, you know, deemed worthless to society. And can you imagine how that kid is viewed once you stick that label of low functioning on them? Not just autistic, low functioning autistic. You get children who are seen as, burdens on society. You get children who are looked upon as less than human. But not only that, is they are assumed, people just automatically assume that they can't do anything for themselves. And so they're not given the space to grow. The VA here in the US didn't care about me when my dad died because I'm not autistic enough. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I have met someone, like I was childhood friends with someone who they had a learning disability, and they had an intellectual disability. You know what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm tired. Essentially, and their mother overprotected them to the point that when, this person was 18 years old, they would have to ask their mother if they could go out to the park across the street. Is this person was not allowed to grow up because their parents didn't think they could. And this is something I worry about for people who are labeled as low functioning autistic, is they're not given room to grow, to be their own person. Is they're not allowed to test their own limits because people deem them unable to do anything. And it can really harm that person. And it's just, I remember in my comments someone saying that they had been diagnosed low functioning autistic, and yet they had a job. They had a kid. They were making it in life. And they were successful. And this is the thing. People who are low functioning autistic, yes, there are some who can't take care of themselves. But how many are there out there who can take care of themselves but are never given the opportunity? Dana, an example is stepbrother. He's not even low functioning, but everything was done for him. Not so much by my stepdad, but by his mother. He didn't try because he knew. Oh, I'll let you finish. He knew if he showed the slightest difficulty, it would be done for him. Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I.
That goes for anybody, like neurotypical or not. If you demonstrate that your whole thing is, oh, you mean if I show difficulty, they'll do it for me? Oh, well, great. Be my guest, do it. I don't gotta. Students.
Yeah. Sadly, with yeah, if you do everything for a child, they'll take advantage of that, and so they'll never grow up. Well, Finos. So it's just stereotyping individuals with autism. Yeah, stereotyping autistics. Yeah, it's just stereotyping. And so, but one thing I want to look at, like, talk about is also sort of how the terms for high functioning and low functioning began. And I should have probably done more research, but I only know so much about this. However, essentially how it was created to be how they decided who's high functioning and low functioning is basically who can work and who can't. Who's going to help produce capital and who's going to drain capital. Is it's essentially sort of hey, can I exploit your labor? Yes, you're high functioning. Can I exploit your labor? No, because you can't work? Okay, you're low functioning autistic. It was just sort of like who could be used by those in power. And I'm going to, bring it back to, sort of Asperger's. When it was originally started, people who were labeled, who were deemed useful to, I'm not going to say their name, but the ruling party in Germany during World War II, if they were deemed useful, they were put to work. If they weren't, they were killed off. And is just sort of like, this is the root of it. Who is useful? Who is not? And Dana, it's so harmful. Also hate when people are like, oh, so it's not a disability, you're special. Like, I didn't say I had less value. Yeah. Sebastian, that's very interesting. So it's entirely based on ableism? Yes. 100% is, you get, yeah, sorry. I have flecks of stuff on my paper. But yeah, it is rooted in ableism. It's who. Oh, geez. Okay, so I have to talk about something. Growing up, my mom worked in a group home for people with intellectual disabilities who could not take care of themselves. They were adults. And some of these people, they would get part-time jobs, usually like holding signs and stuff like that. I think the cat wants down. I hear meowing. Sorry about that. But these people would get jobs and they would be paid like $3 an hour. And that's all they'd get because their labor wouldn't be seen as worth minimum wage. Shimmer, half of me wants to really get a diagnosis. The other half of me, like, what's the point? No one will help me. I feel you. There are, yes, we will help you. But yeah, no, I get you. I get a lot of messages and comments of people being like, I'm self-diagnosed. And I'm like, I don't Like, if I get a diagnosis, what will change? Wilt Finnos. I first thought the wording of high/low functioning was confusing because does that mean the autism is high functioning or is the individual high functioning? Wilt Finnos, $3 an hour sounds like a labor law that should be protested. Yes, it should. It's very much, it has been argued against by, people who are exploited like that, people with Down syndrome, people with autistic people, they have been fighting against this, and it's just sort of like they're deemed as less valuable than other human beings simply because they're not neurotypical, and it's just sort of like, oh, it infuriates me. It infuriated me when I was a kid, and it infuriates me now. And it's just sort of, it never should exist. Like, this kind of thing should never have existed. These people, their labor should not be rewarded with less than minimum wage. Sebastian, I only got a diagnosis because I wanted certainty for myself, not because I thought I would receive help because of it. Yes. Yeah, that is definitely, like, understandable. Just sort of like, why am I like this? Yes, the kitty is here. Dana, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Dana Kelly. The only reason I got a diagnosis was because I had to in order to get special provisions in the HSC final exams in Australia high school, which I didn't end up doing anyway. Yeah. That is, well, Finnos, we are here for you, brother/sister Shimmer. You can also say sibling Shimmer. But yeah, there are people who, to get the help they need the diagnosis. And that's why it shouldn't be such a struggle to get a diagnosis. Like, this is why it shouldn't be, like, tooth-pullingly hard. The way your spouse pronounces it correctly. Danae, thank you for letting me know. But it's just like getting a diagnosis can be so difficult. And so people who do need it for one reason or another, they have to jump through so many hoops, especially if you're an adult. And it's just sort of, I don't understand why. Well, okay, I understand why it's so difficult. Is because people aren't realizing, is you get therapists who say, psychiatrists saying, you can't be autistic because insert really, like, idiotic reason here.
You can maintain eye contact.
Yeah, you can't be autistic, you can maintain eye contact. The one that still blows my mind is you can't be autistic, you have an imagination. That one still blows my mind. But yeah, I've also heard of people not getting a diagnosis for reasons such as, I remember one person saying that if they got diagnosed as autistic, they'd have their children taken from them. And it's just like, that is just not right. Like, you have people who are autistic and can't get a diagnosis because something important will be ripped from them. Sebastian, oh yes, it took me 2 specialists and a lot of money. I was lucky to be so privileged to be able to afford it. Yeah. Like, I know in the United States it costs an arm and a leg just to get diagnosed. And this, as I've said many times before, this is why I believe self-diagnosis is valid. Because getting a diagnosis is either very difficult or off the table, is just not an option. Danae, OMG me, like, she has a vivid imagination. She's a girl, she's not autistic. Like, what? Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense. Well, Fenos, getting a diagnosis shouldn't be that hard if there was a political push from some group, yeah. Shimmer, it's like $2,000. Oh my goodness. Salut. In France, I paid 450 euros because I got diagnosed before I was 19. What's the age?
I think they would consider it 18 in Canada.
18 in Canada? Okay. Um, because I was 17, I was still technically a minor, so my diagnosis was covered by the government. Um,
But you really lucked out.
I really lucked out. Like, I cannot explain. Like, I can't. Like, I got a diagnosis without even looking for one. It just kind of landed on my lap. Shimmer, I'm moving to France now. I speak French. It will work. Um, Storos Zevoy. The ASN should have a self-diagnosis test on their website. I know there are, like, online tests. You can sort of, oh, am I autistic? But I don't know how, you know, good they are, how, you know what I'm trying to say. You know, how real they are. Danae, I was lucky enough to have a psychiatrist throughout my late childhood / teens when I needed an official diagnosis for the reason I specified. He was like, yeah, we all know, I'll diagnose you. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad you had a good a great psychiatrist. Lopfinos, since things were better under a different president in the States, it was easier for veteran families to diagnose officially, but it was a teacher that really made it click for my mother. Yeah. Well, Fenos, labeling, we're getting off track. Actually, I'm basically at the end of my notes, so I figured by now I would be, hopefully, Cat, stop!
Not the microphone.
He's, like, rubbing against the microphone. But yeah, again, this first time I've made notes, so I didn't know how long I could ramble, and it looks like the amount of notes I made lasted about 35 minutes. So if I get like almost twice as much as this, then maybe I can go for a full hour. But now it's basically just discussion, I guess. But yeah, is just sort of sometimes it's not a psychiatrist or anything like that who makes you realize, oh, maybe I am autistic. Like, I know some people said it was an autistic friend. Yes, it is a new mic, so he has to get his scent all over it. He couldn't get to it while it was stored away, while it wasn't being used, so he's going to try and get to it now. This is why the picture I took to show off my mic had him, like, there sniffing it. His head was, like, behind the mic. But he was there trying to figure out what it was. But yeah, something new comes in, he has to get his smell all over it because cat. But yeah, it's like there are people who it wasn't until an autistic friend told them that, hey, maybe you're autistic. I've had people say, you know, I really relate to your comics. I wonder if I'm autistic. There are people who, Danae, his name is Korra. He was named after Korra from Avatar: Legend of Korra. There are people who, you know, their kids watching, you know, their kids getting diagnosed as autistic, and that made them realize, oh, maybe I'm autistic. So many times, like, I have never heard, like, rarely have I heard that, yeah, it was my therapist who brought it up. So often, it's usually an autistic person that helps them realize that they're autistic. But yeah, That's essentially, yeah. I guess now is good a time as any. I will be announcing this on Monday, but just as a bit of an announcement, I starting Monday, I'm going to be taking a 2 to 3 week break from my comic and the live streams. Making my comics, making these. Danae, my mom realized she's probably autistic through me. My dad realized he was autistic through his grandson. um, but yeah, is I'm going to be taking a 2 to 3 week break, making my comics, making the live stream stuff like this. Um, it's it's not as it can be exhausting, but that's not what's worn me down. Honestly, the break I need to take is from social media because I have been doing this for a little over 2 years straight. And my, is just sort of my mental health has started affecting my physical health. And I need to deal with that. So I need to take a break from social media. Well, Fenos, will you be updating us on schedule for live streams? Yes, I will. I won't be doing live streams, but I when my break is over, I will have a schedule up and ready. Um, but yeah, it's just sort of I've been going through a lot of stress. It's sort of like I was trying to stomp it down and just like it's not that bad until it finally boiled over and I couldn't ignore it anymore. So it's just sort of like I need to take care of me. But while I'm on my break, I'm still going to be making comics. And one thing I want to try and do is make designs for stuff like merchandise. Um, yes, Lou, I would definitely. Yeah, arena is a good name for social media because, yes, it is a place where people always try to fight you. I've definitely had people try and fight me. Oh, and that number has increased a lot since I started my comic. Um, but yeah, is during my break, I'm going to be trying and working on designs for stuff like merchandise. Yes, well, Fenos merchandise. I'm not sure what website I'm going to go through. I was looking at Teespring and do designs for like stickers and stuff like that, or whatever people may want. I'm going to start with stickers, start small, they're cheap. And get that out. But the only thing I'm going to be doing during my break is announcing on Wednesday that this video has gone public. Because, of course, from, on Sunday, my $5 and $10 patrons get the link to this video. And then on Wednesday, it becomes public. So on Wednesday, I will be letting people know this video is public. But aside from that, it's just once Monday hits for me, after the announcement, I'm just going to break. But yes, I have a couple of ideas for merchandise. I have 3. One of them is connected to a comic I have done, but is not posted yet. So, one of them is, I posted a comic where my character shouts, "What neurotypical skullduggery is this?" And a lot of people really liked that phrase. So I'm probably going to have that on merchandise. But, also other stuff. But yeah, so hopefully I can sort out whatever's going on. My high anxiety and cat's knocking stuff off. And just deal with this. But yeah, is just sort of, come back rested and ready to deal with social media again. And also, I think it's a good way to kind of, one thing I've been having trouble with is just I try and be as active as possible. I don't respond to every comment I can there is, definitely not, because it's just I don't know how to respond to every comment. But I still read them. Um but it's just sort of like some comments can be really heavy, whether negative or positive. Sort of like a heavy comment that I've gotten that was positive is someone telling me that they basically they explained a very, very tough time in their life, and that they are now better, but reading through that story was very tough, very taxing. I enjoy reading through these messages because they're so emotional and heartfelt. However, it does take a drain after a while. Please don't, if you want to send those messages, if you need to tell somebody the story, you can send them to me. It's just that this is sort of a, part of the job, I guess you could say, is just, helping people and dealing with this emotional baggage. But it's not, those positive but heavy stories are nothing compared to the stress I get from negative comments and attacks. Like, I have been told that I should not be alive. I have been told that. I've also been told that my parents secretly hate me, and I've been told a lot of nasty things. And it's just, after a while, it's just, I gotta stop. Yeah. Thank you, Danae. You're filling your own glass first. It's important. Silu, yeah, but you have to protect yourself. I do. And honestly, I remember, recently I got a message from someone asking for advice, and every piece of advice I got was every piece of advice I got, bye Salu, thank you for coming. This person was asking for advice. Every piece of advice I gave, they turned down. And it's just like, I'm trying my best, but eventually it's like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Like, keep in mind, I'm just a cartoonist. I'm not a professional therapist. And they basically just blocked me. I couldn't help them, so they blocked me. And it honestly just, it frustrated me and just added on to the stress. So, it's just need to, back off for a little bit and recover. And hopefully when I come back, most likely it's just going to be a 2-week break. But I'm giving myself 2 to 3 weeks to give me a window. To sort of if after 2 weeks I still need a little time, I have that time. But I'm pretty sure I'll just need the 2 weeks. I do need to do something for, International Day of Kindness? I do want to do something for International Day of Kindness, which is 20-something days away. And because it's a big thing for Autism Speaks, and it's just sort of kind of want to make a comic about that hypocrisy, about how Autism Speaks wants to celebrate International Day of Kindness, and yet, what kindness have they done to the autistic community? None. Just sort of show that hypocrisy. But anyways, since we're getting to the end of the stream, as usual, I do have some thanks. Of course, I had thanks to my dad, my one $10 patron. And if you're a $10 patron, I will do a drawing of you in my comic book style. Sorry, I bonked the microphone because I'm trying to stop the cat from eating headphones. But yeah, $10 patrons will get a drawing of them in the comic style. It'll be up here like it is now. But yeah, big thanks to my dad who's been supporting me through all of this. He's always given love and support. Is honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And then, of course, there's all of my other patrons that I'd like to give a shout out to. My $1 patrons and my $5 patrons. I don't care if you're giving $1 or $5 or $10. I just can't thank you enough. I love all my patrons. You're all amazing. Oh, pardon me. But anyways. Danae, question. Are they usually at this time when you're back? It's nearly 12 a.m. for me. Okay, from weekend to weekend, I alternate. So right now, it is 8 p.m. for me. Saturday.
9:57.
Sorry. It is 8:57.
Wow, I can't tell time either.
It is 8:57 on Saturday, p.m. on Saturday. Right now for me. If I was having a live stream next weekend, it would be at 8 a.m. Sunday. So I alternate between 12 hours apart. So basically, my next live stream, which will be in November, which I will alert and put everything up, will be, since it's nearly midnight for you, it will start at 11 a.m. for you, Danae. My next stream. Because I know I have fans all over the world and I want everybody to join in. So I have, is one live stream will start Saturday 8 p.m. for me. The next weekend it'll start Sunday 8 a.m. for me. And I do a schedule picture, and problem is that I don't know if I can pin stuff. Hi, Holly, we're wrapping up. I do have a schedule. I need to pin it. I have it as my pinned thing on Facebook, but I need to put it as my pinned post for other things as well. So when you go to my page, it's like right there. Danae, okay, cool. Assuming I have a good sleep schedule, I should be able to join once a fortnight. Yeah, it's the whole having a good sleep schedule. You gotta make sure you have a good sleep schedule. Anyways, thank you all for coming. I'm so sorry, Holly. Hopefully you can make it for the next live stream, which will be in November. I am taking a break, but I will announce the schedule when it is up and ready, okay? So anyways, thank you all for coming. You're all wonderful, and I will see you when I am more rested. Bye!